Welcome back to Gong Abridged. Last time we won a major battle that got us the capital, although that turned out to not be especially useful, and at the same time Lu Bu was going around taking out our armies and settlements. We've done some damage to him, but he's got plenty of fight left, so I'm going to go back with the main force and return west to try and have a showdown with this legendary warrior. I've already closed some of the distance, just need to continue our pursuit. You can see though that many of Lu Bu's units have this one thing on them, and that's basically saying they're convalescing. I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but we're going to discover that in one turn. Can't quite catch up to this guy right now, but because Gong has so much campaign movement range buffage going on, he'll be able to be faster than Lu Bu, and the pursuit could be successful because of that. In the meantime, with our southern campaign, not much was happening because it turns out that I really need to go through Yu Mingshang's territory to attack Liujiang, which was my original objective. So we're just going to go back to war with her. We had a peace treaty, and I couldn't for the life of me find the thing that tells you when the peace treaty expires. So we're just going to break the treaty, which makes us dishonest, going to make everyone hate us. Not that I think that's going to make any difference to our diplomacy, because they already all hate us. Anyway, we go right ahead with this attack at the Chengdu salt mine. Pretty much an auto-resolve. Not the best balance bar. Would have been better to do it manually, but I can't be bothered. No point focusing on this. And I do think that selecting night battle gives you fewer casualties in auto-resolves. That's my anecdotal experience. It doesn't say that you'll get a better balance bar with night battle, but I think it does take it into account in some way. Again, that's the sort of thing that would be nice to know very obviously in the game. Once we capture Chengdu Salt Mine, we can see two armies nearby, one from Liujiang and one from Yu Mingshang. They're both marching around and we'll probably have to face them soon. We've got hostile territory all around us here, so there's plenty to do on the southern campaign by the looks of things. But really I was more focused on getting to Lu Bu, and in this next turn we are able to catch up with him, even with him moving in march stance, so that's just how much extra campaign movement range Gong actually gets. Unfortunately, you can still retreat from battles even in march stance, and look here, his units are back. The thing that I was worried about and I foreshadowed previously has happened. You can replenish units even after they die. They still come back, even when no one's left, and this was a surprising extension to the replenishment system for me. I was already on the fence about whether replenishment makes the game better or worse overall. Was certainly in favour of reforming it to make it less overpowered, but it appears to be more overpowered here in this game. I guess we should make more use of that and be even more aggressive. Be prepared to sacrifice units because you can get them back, presumably for free, even in enemy territory. Another gripe while I'm griping, I still don't actually know how you unlock units for recruitment. Here my trash stack is able to now recruit things that aren't trash. Not sure what actually changed along the way. Maybe it's your general's level, maybe it's their class or the combination of classes. Still not actually sure. The game does have a tutorial, and of course I haven't played it. I'm the sort of person that likes it to be obvious in the moment. Anyway, let's just move on. I finally catch up to Lu Bu. I thought I had him here, but I don't. By the looks of things, he runs away and I'm not allowed to pursue. There's some sort of force field here. That usually means you don't quite have enough movement points to get through the enemy's zone of control, so you just can't try. Very annoying, so let's try the next turn instead. It looks like he only moves a tiny bit, so we are potentially in luck. But some other stuff is happening now. Yuan Shu's coming up towards the capital with a full stack. We could be punished now for not staying in our original position near Chang'an and going after Lu Bu. Cai Mao's on the way as well. We just started a new war with Zhang Yang, one of the bandit factions. I think he's off to the top right somewhere. We'll talk about him if he appears. And an army has appeared in Hanzhong as well from Lu Bu. It came down from Anding. Also there, Liu Bei was teaming up with Cao Cao. That's pretty cheeky from them. We've got some sort of development in the relationship between Gong and Gongshe Yuan. They're now super bros, or not quite bros, one of them being a female, but some sort of buff has been enhanced, I think, by that. Here's a case where we've got some non-bros together in an army. I was trying to start a new force to defend, just in case we got attacked while my main force was up in the top left corner not really doing anything. And it looks like we are going to need it. And with these few troops I have here, I can actually use a march stance to just about get ahead of that army coming down from Anding and defend the silk trader. So that's pretty nice. It will mean we're on tired status if the enemy do attack, but better than not being there at all. Really thought I had Lu Bu this time, but no, we still can't attack him. The anti-Lu Bu pursuit force field is up. And I think what's going on here on a technical level is because there's a river here, you can only cross a river if you already have full movement points or something like that. So the fact that he was slightly closer to it than us at the start of the turn meant he could cross and then walk away a little bit. But we have to use a few points to get up to the river, but then we can't cross. And there's a zone of control there, which is messing things up. I try to walk away, but after like one step, I've lost all my movement points again. No idea what's going on, and I'm getting pretty annoyed right now because we've now used multiple years pursuing Lu Bu in the game. We're not playing the game while we're doing this, and we could get screwed over because the enemy are threatening to attack. It's not good. I was basically thinking at this point, I knew I should have played it the boring way. I should have just conquered the top left while I was there before and then gone for the capital. Anyway, in the south, we're lining up for an attack on the Chengdu large town, while in the north, we get a visit from He Yi, our yellow turban compatriot. Lu Bu continues to run away, and his forces in Hanzhong don't attack. Maybe we dissuaded them and they're just walking off somewhere now. That's all well and good. So Gong Du will just have to continue the pursuit. Now Lu Bu has a bit more distance on us, but we can keep catching up. And he is taking attrition right now. Presumably he's run out of supplies. So the pursuit will lead to an easier battle the longer it lasts in that state. So that's something at least. Near the capital, I'm now able to move my newly created forces over to Chang'an, so we can defend it against any potential attacks coming in from the east that I suspected. I'm going to throw some more trash in there to make ourselves a little bit stronger. We've got a big garrison there as well, though. At Chengdu, things were easier than I expected. There was an army defending this place, but when I get there, it's gone, and the garrison is tiny for some reason, so we just storm right in and easily capture it. And once we get line of sight, we can see where the enemy are now. They're pulling the old switcheroo on us, just like Lu Bu. They've sent an army into our territory using march stance. So once again, we're faced with the prospect of going backwards to try and stop them, but then something else might happen on the front line, all very annoying. My first thought was to try and get a peace deal, but they're not interested. That would solve the problem, though. Over the next couple of turns, that enemy army kept moving north and south, and I kept moving north and south nearby, trying to anticipate where they're going to go. But we didn't really catch up to them, so we can just skip over that. Not much is happening down there, and meanwhile, Gong Du is still going to pursue. We lost sight of Lu Bu because he moved back into his own territory, but we've found him again now. The issue with him being in his territory is that if he goes off march stance, he'll start regaining supplies, and then he could replenish again. Looking around the capital, the enemy armies that were on the way are nowhere to be seen, and I also noticed that Liu Bei has taken a whole bunch of Yuan Shu's territory, so I think the situation might have changed. In response, I'm going to use our defenders from the capital to just be annoying and do some liberation in Lu Bu's territory instead. Now some cheeky diplomacy news. Lu Bu's at it again. He has somehow vassalized the bandit faction Zhang Yan. Remember, he already has as his vassal the actual Han Empire. No idea why people consider this guy to have so much influence. He's only a small faction. He's much smaller than us, for example. He's just really cheeky. More friendship buffing there. That's Gong Du and Jiang Kai getting some sort of buff for them. I think our main force, while it's not achieving anything, it's got some great bants or something, because all the officers are having a great time spending years of their life walking up and down the countryside looking for Lu Bu. Anyway, let's continue doing that, shall we? He's just around the corner here, but once again we cannot reach him. His pursuit shield is just too strong. In this case I thought maybe we should just take his territory instead, because he is now out of march stance. He's going to replenish, and if we take the territory that will of course stop him from doing that. Here we are then in the next turn. He's just moved slightly away, but again we can't catch up to him for magic reasons, but we can go and take the town. Not too much of a garrison, so we'll auto-resolve that and move on in. It means we're not using all of our movement points this turn, so Lu Bu can get some more distance away from us, but he won't replenish at least, so there's not that much he can do with his army if he ever does go and attack us again. The situation in the south was improved by getting another peace deal with Yu Minshang. Nice of her to go in for that. That means the main army that was wandering around in our territory can be ignored for a bit. And now it's okay to have peace with her because we can go west and attack Liu Jiang more legitimately now. The problem is Liu Jiang does have some troops in our territory. It's just enough men that they could take down the garrison of the nearby territory, so we do need to stop them with something. It would be annoying to send the main force back though, it would be a waste. Luckily we can use a feature in this game that is a dramatic improvement on some of the more recent games. You can split the army up. So one of our generals goes with a few units to hunt that guy down, while the rest can continue with our offensive. We'll go west towards the rest of Chengdu Commandery with just these units, and that may indeed be enough on its own. Meanwhile, up with Gongdu, well, you know what he's doing and what he is not achieving because of it. That just continues. I also remembered that with this whole splitting thing, we could do this with our force that's liberating in Anding. Now we have technically two armies doing liberation, and liberation is a flat penalty against the enemy, so just by splitting one army up into two groups, now I think we've doubled the liberation's effect on the enemy. We don't have any way of seeing the effect on the enemy, but presumably something is happening and Lu Bu might lose the territory. Meanwhile, he's not losing this race, he continues to elude us, and we continue to pursue as the years go by. And then in the next turn, he actually comes and attacks some of our territory, another silk trader. We seem to be constantly attacked at silk traders in this campaign. I guess we just have quite a lot of them. Now, this fight isn't so bad because Lu Bu's army is on the verge of death. His advantage isn't that big, so with a few exploits, we might be able to do this. I don't have the replay for this, and you'll see why in a second. Annoyingly, the enemy did decide to use fire arrows on my towers. I thought because it's winter this would be less effective than usual, but for some reason it actually appears to be much more effective than usual. Even though the tower was covered in snow, they only had a couple of archers and some of them aren't even using fire arrows, and our tower just got taken down immediately. Normally it takes a couple of volleys from a full strength unit, but didn't see that happen there. Very strange indeed. And actually the enemy do have some more buffs on their side by the looks of things. I was peppering them with arrows, but they're just tanking them. It was like this in previous games as well. I think units do have a health bar of some kind. It's just not specified like it was previously, so men can take a lot of hits from stuff and just keep going, especially Cav. They seem to be able to take lots of arrows before they die. So as for what's going to happen in the fight, it's nothing good because the enemy can just overwhelm my trash melee infantry, and both of the entrances they attack fall pretty much immediately. I did have some Cav outside the camp who went to attack exposed enemy archers. That was something. And my own archers who ran out of ammo are just going to run away and try not to die. Our attack on the enemy archers was successful, and we're going to have something similar happening at this other entrance where one of the towers wasn't destroyed for some reason, so I can keep shooting at these exposed archers. And because their unit's small, we only have to kill like 2 or 3 of them to destroy the unit on the campaign map. We now know that's much less useful than it was in previous games because they'll just respawn with even more men than they had now for doing this, so there's some argument for not attacking them at all, which is quite the strange situation. Anyway, on the topic of strange situation, now I wanted to try the exploit that I suspected existed from stuff I'd seen in previous battles and indeed in previous games. And it does. As you can see, all you need to do to successfully defend a settlement is abandon it, because the enemy are hard scripted to go after the settlement and not after you as an army. So if your army's somewhere else, they'll just let you stand here, and because you're the defender, you'll win on time. I could just quit the game here in order to give the enemy their fair victory, but I was so annoyed about the entire Lu Bu pursuit and the vassalization and the not getting the Han Empire vassalization before that I was like, no, I'm going to force the enemy to lose. You can do this in Attila as well. I'm not sure about earlier games, it certainly works in Attila. And it gives you this result, a most rare result in Total War, a draw. What a draw means is that a siege attack has failed, but the army that did the attack wasn't destroyed so much that it was defeated, so it doesn't retreat and the siege just continues. You can use draws to destroy enemy towers and then quit the battle and then fight the battle again in the next turn, so the towers aren't there and your ammo is restored, things like that. In this case, it was a pretty good fight because the enemy lost loads of units. The odd 1 or 2 casualties will have taken out all of their heavy cav and stuff, so now their army's in terrible condition, and they didn't run away from us for that turn. So we can actually catch up and indeed attack Lu Bu right now with Gongdu. Lu Bu's got like no units, so it would just be an auto-resolve, but He's still running away. We can't catch up this turn, and that means the pursuit will simply continue. Xu He was able to capture the armor craftsman from Liu Jiang without any effort whatsoever, so that's nice. And this was especially good because it completed some mission we had to capture some number of commanderies, and that means we have absolutely loads of money. So I can upgrade some buildings or something. And Xu He still has another target. We can go south and attack that lumber yard to get some more territory. And of course all this territory has its flank up against the edge of the map, so that's all nice and safe. Now, another turn of pursuit is upon us. But this time the pursuit happens along a road and there's no movement point shenanigans going on. We actually catch up to Lu Bu. Here we go. Immediately I'm like, what is this? Lu Bu has a 0% chance to be defeated in this battle. This is the chance that you'll get the pop-up saying if you want to execute or ransom them. It's essentially your chance to capture them if they don't die in combat. And Lu Bu can't die in combat because he is a quote-unquote legendary character. I think they have to die 3 times in a battle to actually die, otherwise they respawn. Something like that. There's similar things going on in other Total War games as well. Anyway, what that means is I don't think I could have killed him even if I manually resolved that, and I certainly didn't want to because it was just annoying. But we did kill everything else, and we killed the army. Lu Bu will just respawn somewhere else. We've captured Zhang Liao, who is another legendary warrior actually, not on Lu Bu's tier, but still top tier. And we have the chance to kill him and steal some book he has in his pocket or something, so we'll certainly want to do that. And this is a good chance to ransom the captive troops back to Lu Bu to get some extra money, because the army doesn't exist, so it doesn't get any free replenishment if you give the captured soldiers back. There's something here saying that Gong was going about dragging everyone to the field hospital and stuff. He is very conscious to keep his men alive, which is good to hear. Anyway, at last, the Lu Bu pursuit saga comes to an end. It took something like 3 in-game years to do that. For reference, it was 3 years after the start of the campaign that I first decided to go for the capital. Going for the capital took 3 years, and then it was 3 years of pursuit afterwards. So 2/3 of the campaign has actually been wasted by this point. We've achieved virtually nothing over the last 6 years, all because I didn't want to play things the safe way and I was trying to be dramatic, and I blame it entirely on that tooltip saying I'd get the Emperor. I always like to blame my huge mistakes on something else, and in this case we can't just say it's the French or something. We're going to have to blame the tooltip. Anyway, all we can do now is try to pick up the pieces and go back to attacking other territories. The campaign kind of resumes as normal from now on. With Liu Jiang's annoying army in our territory, we get a nice chance to take him down. I noticed he's on the left side of that river, so I'm going to put Fan Yao here on that side of the river as well, and then hide him. You can hide pretty well with a decent chance to ambush even in open ground. The idea was that the Liu Jiang army will try and take our settlement and get ambushed. In the end turn, Yuan Shu is back. Whatever caused his delay on attacking us has gone away, so it looks like the capital is in danger once again. And then the ambush plan does succeed. I very nearly hit auto-resolve with night attack on, but actually in this case it's better to do a day attack because the garrison from the town will participate as well. Anyway, down they go, and that's going to be the end of that. So the detachment plan, sending a few units to stop this army, has succeeded in the end. Meanwhile, the main force of units has also succeeded, because we continue on to take some more Liu Jiang territory, just rampaging through. He's got no army, and his garrisons aren't very big, so our trash stack is more than enough to keep taking his territory. He's only got 1 left at this stage. With the capital now once again under threat, our defensive forces shall return. We've got 2 armies or 2 officers worth of troops in there, so adding 1 more officer gives us a full stack's worth of troops defending, so that's all good. I was going to have this other small army go to try and capture the Anding large town. Remember, of course, we did actually take it before using just 1 officer. The problem is they've got a full army there this time, so that's not going to happen. Going to nope out and run back towards the capital with that small force. Cao Cao is getting in on the action. Don't remember when we started a war with him. I think he's one of the many factions we're actually at war with, but I don't talk about because they're just not doing anything. And now he has suddenly appeared with more troops near the capital. This could be dangerous, and as we see, Yuan Shu's army doesn't attack the capital, but it does attack the nearby jade mine. I considered fighting this because we'll have towers and choke points to use, but the enemy do have archers, so I thought they'll probably actually remember to use fire arrows, and in that case it would be pointless, so let's just skip over that. They take the jade mine from us. That's a shame since it was worth quite a lot of money. All we can really do in response is continue to turtle up in the Chang'an city. Our other troops from Anding arrive now, so we've got even more stuff, and I'm going to throw some more trash in there as well. It kind of depends whether Yuan Shu and Cao Cao could attack at the same time. I think if they're not allied to each other, we can't get swarmed by multiple factions' armies. So we should always have a defensive advantage there at the city. It's not quite as bad as it looks like it's getting. However, with our main force, with Gong, I decided to start bringing it back towards the capital, thinking we'll eventually need it down there. I was going to go up and left and try to just capture the edge of the map. Instead, I'm going to go for Anding and gradually campaign my way back towards Chang'an. Fan Yao here is going to go for the Bashi large town. I was planning to actually go and attack some Han Empire territory in the east with him, but as we'll see next time, things spiral out of control and I'll have to put him on another, even more important mission. And to the south, our two guys will just continue rampaging against Liu Zhang. This is a case where once again I need military access with Yu Minshang to effectively attack him. But I haven't unlocked military access yet. This is all I can do: peace and support, vassal independence, which are two very unuseful things because no one's interested in what I have to say about those particular topics. So yes, we're going to have to take a really long route across country to finish off Liu Zhang, and perhaps by that point our peace treaty with Yu Minshang will be over and we can completely finish off this area. We'll get into that next time, and of course try to come back from having spent most of the campaign not achieving anything with our main army in the next part.